So it's really important for us to allow you to use your existing content. We don't want you to start from scratch. So if you have Word documents, PowerPoint, PDFs, I know I had a whole long list of websites that I like to use with my students year after year, and I didn't really have a good place to keep those organized. So with the management portal, you're able to upload those and have those stored, and use them as much as you want. That is also mixed with our content store. So we have over 800 educationally based apps that are on our store that you'll have access to. They're free. That's the good news. And then coming in January, we're going to have our own premium store where you can do a purchase order and license those the way that you'd like instead of having to put in your own credit card information. So I'll show you how to get those apps, and then if there are apps that you're using that you don't see in our store and they're available in the Google Play Store, I'll show you where you can find a link to get those requested to be added. And really, last but not least is that management portal. That's really the heart of the solution. So I know a lot of people want to talk about the device only, because with other options out there, that's all it is. But with ours, you actually have unlimited access to that management portal included with the price. So it's completely web-based, meaning that you can access it on any internet device, your iPad, smartphone, and from anywhere where you have internet. And that's the nice part as well. It's anything that you upload, like those Word documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, those all store on our server, so it's not going to hog your local server also. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, let's keep going. So to access the portal, you have to be invited. So hopefully everyone has already been invited into the portal, into the correct organization where they need to be in. Once you get invited, you're going to get an email invitation with a link, and you'll be able to create your own account. A question that I get asked all the time is, how do I get my students onto the portal? And the answer is they don't. There's no student access to the portal. And then each person, based on the way that they're going to be using the portal, will have their own user role. Most importantly, teachers typically are editors. And then your IT department, principal, whoever's really in charge of setting up the portal probably will be an owner. Did you guys have any questions on user roles? No. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so the management portal, like I said, that's really the heart of the solution. That's where the teachers are going to develop and manage their lessons. So you'll be, uploading your content, getting your websites ready to be safe and secure for your students, and then collecting all that and putting it together on the portal. And then you'll also be able to monitor what your students are doing while they're in class with you. We use a process with QR keys. You've probably seen QR codes. Another term for those are QR codes, and I'll show you how that works with, basically it allows the LearnPad and the portal to talk to each other, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so let's talk about the anatomy of the lesson and the 3 terms that you're going to have to know. So the most basic part, and the part where you're going to want to start, is called a resource. Resource, I like to think of as like the actual tasks or activities that your students are going to be doing. So there's 4 types of resources, the first one being a website, and instead of, writing that URL up on the board and then having your students type it in letter for letter, and then if they miss a letter, it's not going to work, instead of that, you're going to provide them with a link, knowing that they can't leave that link unless you allow them to. On top of that, Flash-based websites will work. Like 90% of educational websites still use Flash, so those will work on the LearnPad. Another type of resource is a folder. That would be like a network path to a folder within the LearnPad. Files, again, those are going to be your existing files that you have, Word documents, PowerPoints, PDFs. The good news about that is that we have Kingsoft Office, which is like the tablet version of Office, pre-installed on the LearnPad. So when you give them a Word document, it's actually going to come in Word on their LearnPad. Same with PowerPoint and Excel files. You can also create those as well. And then applications, so apps from our content store, those are going to be considered a resource as well. And then to keep those resources organized, we put them into categories. So let's say you've got, websites, files, apps that all have to do with math. To keep that organized, you probably put it into a math category. Now categories are flexible, so you can name them anything you want, and you can organize them however you want. So these are different categories on the screen right here. This would be a student's LearnPad stream. You're able to organize this any way you want. You're not stuck with this right here. This is just an example. But I'll show you some other ways that you can get those organized. And then the whole collection, this screen, the collection of those categories put together, that's going to be called a lesson. So each lesson gets its own unique QR key. And again, you probably have heard QR code. And then the students should scan that, and then all the content gets downloaded. Questions about that? I know that's a lot.
No?
Sounds pretty quiet. I guess that's a good sign, right?
Yes.
Okay. So again, resources, those are going to be those targeted websites, and I'll show you exactly how that works. It's going to be files that you have already, so PowerPoint, PDF, Word, video, picture, apps from our content store, and then those folders that will link to a network path. Those will be considered a resource as well. We're going to stick to these three today. This would be probably more for your IT department, but they're not there, so that's all right. And then different ways to organize those resources. So these resources all have to do with writing. So these can be put into a writing category, so it could be based on subject. If you teach multiple grades, each grade could have their own category. By activities, so this is like a rocks and minerals activity. So these are the resources that have to do with that activity. So it can be, a category called rocks activity, or even by theme. So just some sample ways that you can organize those resources. Then the lesson is going to be what the students actually see when the categories and resources download onto their tablet. It's all completely done on the management portal, and it's very customizable. So you can change the wallpaper, the icons, really to reflect what the students will be learning. So just the process again is to start with a resource, those websites, files, and apps, add those to Kit, organize, and then decide what categories you want your students to access and put those into a lesson. So the lesson is going to be the part that gets that QR key. Have you seen these before?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Great. I'm sure your students have seen them before. They're popping up all over the place. But we use it for the portal and the tablet to talk to each other. So the portal will generate that QR key for the lesson with all the categories. So the teachers put all the categories and resources into that lesson. Then this QR key can be projected somewhere, printed, and put on the classroom walls, door. The students will then just take their LearnPad, open up the scanner, line it up correctly, it'll beep, and then all the content that the teachers put into that somehow magically turns into this square, and then it'll download onto their LearnPad. So it'll match what the teacher has put together on the portal. Does that process sound doable?
Yes.
That's just one way, and I'll show you the second way for the lessons to get onto the LearnPad. All right. So we're actually going to go onto the portal, and I'll show you how to do the content section, and then we'll look a little bit at managing the equipment, because once your students have the content downloaded, then you're going to want to make sure that they're staying on task. So I'll show you the dashboard feature as well. So for those of you who have accepted the invitation, it sounds like you guys are all able to get into the portal, but just from now on, just to understand that you can get to the portal by going to learnpad.us, and there we go. Obviously, I recommend to bookmark it because that's where you as teachers are going to be spending your time getting those lessons ready for your students. So I'm going to exit out of the PowerPoint and get onto there we go. So here is your portal. So you can see that I'm logged in as myself for Bremond ISB. So this is going to be what you see when you first log in. We're going to focus on this section first, content, and we'll start with resources, because again, that's going to be where you're going to want to start, the most basic part of a lesson. So you can either click on the link on the side or on the icon here. So we'll start with the icon. Looks like someone's been playing, which is awesome. And anything that says added by, those are going to be ones that you create yourself. And then selected by are going to be the ones that you either select from another person's lesson or that you select from the store. So the apps in the store are not, ones that you create yourself, so that's why they're considered selected by. So over under actions, on this yellow bar over here, we have add new resource. I'm going to select that, and this is where I tell it what type. So is it a website that I want to use? Is it a file that I have on my computer? A folder that I actually, not a folder in the typical sense, but this is a folder if I want to direct them to somewhere else on the LearnPad, or an application where I actually have the APK file. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. This is not how you get the app from the content store. So we're going to stick to these two today, a website and a file. And then we'll go on to the store and I'll show you how that works. So we'll choose website. What grade of teachers do you have in there? Is it a whole bunch?
Middle school.
All different grades.
Middle school. Awesome. That's what I thought. Okay. So I'm going to show you a website. I was kind of obsessed with getting my students to know their multiplication facts. So I found this really cool website called multiplication.com. Are you familiar with that one?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I'll show you how that would work on the LearnPad. So I just typed in the name. I can name it anything I want. Add my resource. Now it defaults to this icon, but I can change it if I want, or even go back and change the name by just clicking on the pencil. Now all I need to do is just open up a new tab and open up multiplication.com. Now this is not where I want my students to go because, I need to direct them more closely to what I want them to do. So I'm going to go where I want them to go. I want them to be able to play these games. So you can see that there's tons of really fun multiplication fact games. If I go down, I can guarantee you your students will like this Granny pre-game. If your students are anything like mine, they love this Granny in a wheelchair. This would be an example of if I want them to be able to choose the game. So I'm not going to restrict what game they have access to. They'll be able to choose the game that they want. So all I need to do is take that URL, copy that, paste it under website URL. Whatever I put into website URL is where they will go first. So this is going to be where that link takes them first. Now there's no save button, so I just click on the side for it to save. And then the portal wants to make sure that that's a valid working website, so I press reload page to check. Tells me it's valid, so that's a good sign. Now, the next thing we need to talk about, though, is whitelisting. That's probably a new term to many people there. Basically, whitelisting allows access to websites instead of blocking it. So if I want them to go anywhere outside of multiplication.com, I need to add those links to my whitelist URLs. So it basically just depends how that website was created. So they'll be able to get to anything that has all of this at the beginning. I am basically saying anything with multiplication.com/game/all-games is allowed. So if any of these links are different, if they change at all at the beginning, I'm going to have to allow those links because the way I have it set up right now, it's going to be blocked. So what I'm going to do is pull my mouse over the link for the game, and you should see the URL of that link pop up. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Do you see it in gray?
Yes. Yes. You see it.
Okay. So you'll see that this is multiplication.com/games/play/Patty's Paint. So it doesn't match what I have here. It doesn't have that game/all-games. So in order for my students to actually click on these games, I got to kind of figure out what the pattern is. So you can see that the only thing that's changing is that ending based on the game. So what I'm going to do is just open up multiplication.com/games. Now this is just because to first go here, I had to put this in. This is where I wanted them to go first. And then to allow them to play the game, I have to open that up. Now you won't always have to do this. This is just how this website was set up. So now they'll go first to this website. They'll go directly here. And since I've opened up multiplication.com/games, they'll be able to click on these links. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that's something that probably will take some getting used to, but just know if you guys are struggling with it, need any help, feel free to let me know, and we'll do another webinar just on whitelisting if needed. So my other option, and the reason this is so great is, here's, oh, you already have it actually. Is someone else doing it at the same time?
Sorry.
That's okay. But the other way that you can set this up, so maybe you don't want your students to have access to all of the games. Maybe you want to pick one for them. Open up maybe one a week or something. The other way you could do it, and trust me, they will like this game, is actually just provide this one link. So I'm going to go back to my resources, and I'm going to add another one. And I'm going to call it Granny Free. And again, it's a website. Add my resource. And I'm going to take this link and copy that and paste it for my website URL. Again, there's no save, so just click on the white part, reload the page to check. It's valid. That's awesome. Now this is all I'm going to give. I'm not going to whitelist anything else because this is all I want them to get to. They won't be able to click here, nothing here. They're targeted on this Granny Creek game, and that's it. So does that make sense? The two ways, basically, that you can decide how you want to give that website to your students?
How do you get an image there? Like, don't you do multiple when you add it? Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
So, you're familiar with Study Island. So if you wanted to go to a website like that where they would click on their study island and have to go inside, click a lesson, do you actually have to click on every single lesson? Or is there a way that I could just allow them to go to Study Island in general and everything inside of Study Island?
Yeah, so it really just depends how that website is created. We have it already available here, set up probably the way that you'd like it to be set up. Some of those common websites we have done for you.
Well, I was thinking like the high school, if you're familiar with Gizmos and Sapling Learning, it's like an assessment website where they do a lot of like assessments.
What was it called?
There's Sapling Learning, and then there's Gizmos, education. I can't remember who it's by.
So they will work. I mean, the good news is that any of those websites will work. It just depends how they were created by the developer as to how you need to whitelist it. So if you find that you're having trouble or anything, just feel free to contact me or support. And I'm also going to show you our article on how to do that when we go into the support page. So unfortunately I can't give you like a straight answer because I'm not really familiar with those websites. But if it all starts with the same root, like maybe they all start with Gizmo something,
right,
then all you need to do is allow Gizmo and they can get to anything, but still stay within Gizmo.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions, though, about the website resource?
How come when we're in the resources, all of ours don't pull up like it looks like on the screen?
How come, I'm sorry, how come what?
Okay,
Okay, what?
like I'm in my LearnPad right now on the screen that you're on, but mine's empty. It doesn't have all of those. Yeah, it doesn't have all the stuff that you have on your screen right now.
Okay, really good question. So it just depends what organization you're in. Anything that I do today is going to be within the Bremond ISD organization.
Okay.
You may be invited into a different one.
Okay. See, we're in middle school
Laura,
now.
what I did is I went in and created sub-organizations for each, basically almost each teacher or each subject on each campus, so that science and math and all, they wouldn't have to. It would kind of split our lessons, so they wouldn't have to go through the whole school group of lessons to find what they're looking for. They could create it under their own sub-organization and it'd be. I hope I did that.
Yeah, that's actually something, that's what I recommend, because otherwise every person's stuff could be within this same organization and it would get really chaotic.
Their lesson. So that's why she doesn't have all that there, because she's got her own organization that she's got to build.
Yeah, Mara,
Right.
Yeah, Mara, I'm the art teacher, so I have an art. Mine says L. Miller for art, is how mine reads.
Yeah.
Yep, so that just means that you have your own organization, so you will only see your content, not everyone else's. Now, if you want to share, you still can, but it would just mean that you just need to copy your lesson to someone else.
So, Mara, if I found some really good stuff for like the elementary teachers on art, how would I share that with them?
There are a few different ways, and it really just depends how your organizational structure is set up. I can go over that, with Mr. Burnett if needed,
Okay.
and open it up if we need to.
Let's learn how to build
But I'll
lessons
show you.
first.
Okay, yeah, let's build
We
lessons
don't have any
first.
lessons to share yet, so.
Sorry, didn't catch that.
So we don't have any lessons to share yet. Let's
Oh.
let's crawl
Yeah,
before we run.
in a few months, or give yourself a little bit of time, and then at that point, if you decide you want to share your stuff with other people, we can have another webinar, or I can talk to Mr. Burnett separately and figure out how to best share for your environment. Does that work for you?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So let's move on. Let's do a file now. So again, this will be a file that I have on my computer. And I have something called Spain Geography Notes. And I chose File. I'm going to add that resource. Because I chose File, it defaults to this icon, but of course I can change it if I want. And then again, over under Actions, it says Upload File. So if you're able to attach a document to an email, you're probably going to be able to do this. So all you need to do is just find that file. So here's my Spain Geography Notes. Open that up. It's a PDF, but we'll open up in PDF form on the LearnPad.
That could be your test or quiz at the end of the activities. Yeah, sure. It's a document. So would Google Docs work?
Google Docs is different because it's not something that you upload, it's just available online. If you guys are Google Doc customers, we can get that set up for you so it'll work. Did you want me to go ahead and get that set up for you? Do you want me to look into that for you?
The tech guy said yes.
Okay. Well, probably, if you guys just don't mind emailing me, like, the domain that you have. Does that make sense?
Yes, BremondISD.net.
BremondISD.net?
That's it.
Okay, I will talk to tech support and make sure that that gets set up.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to this file. So basically, when the students click on this icon, this file is going to open up, and they'll have that PDF document. Now, if I go back to my resources, Here, my 2oneplacation.com. Here's my Granny Pre website, and here's my Spain Geography note. Now, let's go into the store, and I'll show you how to get more apps added to this list. So, what we need to do is click on the store up at the top. This is getting added to pretty much every single day. So I'm sure we're over 800 at this point. But you can search by grade level, by subject area, by keyword. So if there's any app basically that you need on here, all you would need to do, this looks kind of cool, click on the app. This is probably not middle school level. Let's go back.
Can we add an app to that?
Yeah, if you wanted to add an app to this, you've got an app that's available on the Google Play Store, you would just click on this link right here and request for it to be added, and within a few days it should be added to the website.
Can we just try that real quick? Do you mind?
Click on this.
Yeah, there we go. I'll watch it. And we're looking for one that says Cyber Roam Authentication Agent. We gotta throw it out. Oh, she has access. Okay, sorry. Ask about that.
So if it says reading, it doesn't flash.
It'd be slow to buy it, but once you buy it, it goes for all of the Is it working? Are you waiting for us? I'm sorry.
Are you talking to me? I'm sorry, I can't really hear.
So I was just gonna, so can we fill this out, or do I have,
All right, what do we need to do next on this registration application?
Oh, to request an
Yeah,
application?
to
Yeah, you
request
would
an
just
app.
fill this out, and then down at the bottom it'll say submit, and then someone from our content team will contact
they
you
approve
about
it.
whether, it's been approved or if it's not been approved. So let's say you find something you like, like Vimeo, maybe. I'll give you a little screenshot, a little description of it, and then you've got this star here. If the star is gray, that means that it's not available in that list of resources yet. As soon as you click on it, it'll turn yellow. Yellow is good. Now if I go back to my resources, remember apps are going to be resources, now I'll have that app available within my list. So it's really just one click on that star, and then that app will be available in this list of resources within your organization. So it'll be put in whatever organization you're in at that moment. Do you want me to show that again?
One more time, real quick, Mara. We had a question. A couple of our teachers have had a chance to get in and look at apps and things, and some of them are saying that they're not free, that you have to purchase them. And I was just curious, because the way I understood it when Eric sold it to us is that we had purchased the license to where that was going to be taken care of. Are there apps?
I'm kind of breaking up. So I heard some of it, sorry.
Are there apps in there that we do not have access yet? Because of our...
So the apps are all free. Some of the apps will require a license.
Okay.
Or require you to have some sort of license or account with the company.
Okay.
Right now, though, all the apps are free, and these apps will continue to be free. But if there's a premium version of it, you'll be able to purchase that through the store in January.
Okay. Okay. I thought.
Does that help?
Well, I must have misunderstood Eric. When we did that, we had paid the licensing for all the apps that are in there, and there wasn't going to be any other additional cost unless there was something we wanted to add above and beyond what was already in there.
Okay, yeah, no, so you basically have access to all of these apps, and these apps are all free. If you wanted to purchase the premium app, you'd have to purchase that.
Okay. All right, go ahead. That's not. We'll come to that bridge when we get there.
Okay, so just another example. If you find an app you like, so maybe Hangman, you just click on that star and it turns yellow. Now if you go back to your resources, here is that app that I just added. Really just one click on that star and that app will be available in your list. You guys good with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the next, now I've gathered the resources I want. Let's put them into a category. And a new one. You can again name this anything you want. I'm just gonna call it demo. You guys can refer back to it if you need to or delete it. I'm gonna add that. This is the default wallpaper. You can change that. You can change the icon. And I'm going to choose Granny Pre. Maybe I don't want to give them all in multiplication.com. And I've got my spinning notes. And, any app that I want. Here's the one I added. These two. All I'm doing is double clicking on that resource. And it turns yellow. Hopefully you saw that. And that means it's been added to that category. So now, in this demo category, there are only 4 things that my students will have access to at that time. If I want to get rid of something, just double click on it, it gets removed.
See, it's not working on the Promethean board. Ideally, you want that on the Promethean board. And the kids just go up, or down to print them. Josh was thinking about the lumen of the bulbs, aren't it bright? That's the ideal, way to do it, but we weren't able to do it when we had that first training. We had a hard time.
You weren't able to do what?
The QR codes from the Promethean board, we weren't able to scan them. We had to print them.
Really?
Yeah. Josh, our IT guy said something about we might can brighten them or something. It wasn't bright enough, I guess.
Oh, okay.
When Eric was
Yeah,
here,
maybe the images.
when we were first setting them up and just trying them out and everything, getting them on our Wi-Fi and all that, we weren't able to do it that way. And that's to me the ideal way is just the kids,
Oh yeah, definitely.
grab a tablet.
I've seen it done. It should be able to work.
Okay.
If you want, you could submit a support ticket,
Oh,
and our tech support team can look into it.
all right. Thank you.
Sure. Any questions about this category? So basically, if I go back to my category list, now I've got that demo one right here. You guys all right with categories?
Should we go ahead and try to scan that maybe?
Well, you can't scan categories. You can only scan when it gets put into a lesson.
Are you going to do a lesson?
So,
Oh, okay.
yep, let's go into a lesson. I'll make a new one. And again, I'll just call it demo for today. So now I choose what categories I want to put into this lesson. So here's my demo. Here's that QR key, and if I click on it, you can then put this up on hopefully on your Promethean, or print it out. Now if you guys have a LearnPad that's connected to the internet, you can go ahead and scan that QR key, and all the content should download onto that LearnPad pretty quickly.
Yep. Remember it wasn't as bright or something you were saying?
Do you know how to open up the scanner?
Got it. Yes, ma'am. We got it.
Okay. Awesome. Did you do it from the Promethean board?
Uh-huh. So it did.
Oh, great.
It may have just been that projector we were using. We were in the conference room. I think that's what it was.
Because that wall.
Okay. Ah. So we should have problems with that then. Okay. I was worried that we were going to have issues with that. Think, Mara, it's just where we were. We were
Okay.
using a wall, so sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm glad it worked
We've
out.
got our own tech support right here.
Perfect. The next thing under content I just wanted to show you guys really quickly is if you wanted to add to the stock photos that we have up here, you can just upload a new image and use that as your wallpaper or icon if you want. I do recommend customizing it so that your students kind of get excited to see the new content that they're going to be learning. So that's the content and the store. So that's what the teachers, you'll be doing that to get your students ready, with that content that you have, with the websites you want them to go to. And then once they're in class, it's really important to be able to monitor what they're doing. So if we go into dashboard up here, awesome, you guys have class view. So I'm going to start with the control part right here. Control comes included. With control, you're able to see the background image of what your students are on. So I can see, this bunch right here, still in that opening lesson that the LearnPad came with. And then these down here probably, people have been testing the portal with. So from here, if you notice that your students are goofing off, you just maybe Diligent Porpoise and Maroon Badger, those two are, off task, and I just need their attention. You can pause their activity so that they can't get back in until you provide them with a PIN number. Now the good news is, and you're probably like, oh, how do you remember what the PIN is? Once you press this play button, that their activity on the LearnPad will turn back on. So of course you could do that to the whole class by just selecting everyone and pause their activity, redirect them, get their attention, give a direction. They can't get back in until you allow them back in. The other options you have with control are to mute them, unmute them, send an alert. So maybe Peach Wasp. I love the names that they come with. By the way, they come with these names from the manufacturer. If you want to change them, all you need to do is just click on the name and click on this pencil, and you can change it to anything you want. And obviously see a lot more properties about that device as well. So, if I wanted to, make Peach Wasp's device play an alert, so maybe they put it down and then can't find it, you can press this alert button. That LearnPad will then make a noise. You can send a text message. So if you want to tell your whole class, or maybe just a group of students, you can select a group. Great job. Or every student's worst nightmare. See me. Scare them a little bit. You have that capability, and of course you can do it to the whole class as well. This is a really important one. Let's say you have your students on a lesson, and then you make a mistake. Maybe you forgot to whitelist, or maybe you forgot to add an app that you really wanted to have your students to have access to. If you make that change on the portal, and then press this heart button, the LearnPad will check in with the server to see what's been changed, what's been updated, and then automatically bring in any new content or get rid of any content that's not in that lesson still.
So is that almost
Does that make sense?
Is that kind of like refreshing it? Is it kind of like refreshing it?
Yeah, exactly. It'll refresh basically what lesson they have up on their screen. And then the next thing we have is this lock. So you want to make sure that all of your devices are locked before putting it in the hands of your students. If it is unlocked, you'll get that gray bar at the bottom of your screen. If it's unlocked, that means that they can access the settings, and whitelisting doesn't really play a part in an unlocked LearnPad. So if you click on the alert right here, it'll actually filter out for you which devices are unlocked, and then you can lock them up from the portal. So you don't have to manually find each of these LearnPads. You can do it right from here. Now, I promise you a second way to send your lessons to the LearnPad. So one way, obviously, is to use that QR key. Now, for differentiation, though, if you have groups of students who may need, more challenging, easier lessons, you wouldn't want to put a separate QR key up and then say, hey, you three, you go to that QR key. The rest of you go to that one. You wouldn't want to call attention to them. So instead, you could choose those kids from the portal. All of your lessons will show up here, and choose what lesson to send to those devices without using a QR key. So you could discreetly differentiate for groups of students, or just one student, or even your whole class. If you want your whole class on a different lesson, you can do it for them without using the QR key. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so let's get into class view. Now, I can't show you exactly how this will work because I'm not on site with you. You have to be on the same Wi-Fi subnet. But basically, class view is a premium feature, one of my favorites. Class view will allow you to view real time what your students are doing.
We have
So
that,
right
we
now,
bought it.
just kind of, what was that?
Yeah, we purchased that as part of our LearnPad.
Yep. Yep, that's why it's available down here. It's a really nice feature. Excellent choice. With ClassView, you can turn on live streaming. So instead of just seeing that background image, you'll be able to see in real time the device activity. And then, you know, from there, if you notice that maybe Scarlet Goat's doing something inappropriate, or chances are they can't do that anyway because you've pretty much narrowed what they can access. But if you just need their attention, you can pause them and see really what they're doing at all times. So that's this video streaming capability right here. And then from there, if you want to document anything great that they're doing, or maybe document that they're off task, you can take a screenshot of their device. This presentation mode will put that device, now you said that you have Promethean boards. If you turn on this presentation mode, that one device that you choose will then be put up nice and big on the Promethean board, and using your pen or your finger, you can navigate through the tablet using the board. So it's really nice if you have students doing a presentation, they can wirelessly show their presentation up on the Promethean board and move through the PowerPoint presentation slides using the board instead of their tablet. The same thing can be said if you're using a computer. So you can take control of the student's LearnPad using your computer with that presentation mode.
Can you
And then this one will be...
like
Sorry?
you said, you can message a whole group. Can you message individual kids?
Yes, so like right now I only have this LearnPad highlighted. I would just send that message to that one. And then, so the other ones are grayed out. If I wanted everyone, they would all have to be turned on and then send it like this. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, this last one here is just files. If you wanted to see the files on an individual LearnPad, you can put files in, take files off. You have that capability right here. So that's Class View, awesome feature, and that's Control. So this is all found under Dashboard up at the top. So any questions about Dashboard?
They're going to get to go back and play with this stuff a little bit, and then once they figured out what the questions are, what they can figure out, we may have some questions later.
Yep, yeah, no problem. Just feel free to let me know. That's what I really want to show you today. We can always schedule more with the webinars as needed. I don't want to overwhelm you too much. I do want to end, though, with support up at the top here. If you have, tech requests or tech needs, you can submit a request right here. If you need help with setup, help using your LearnPad. This is a really great spot for teachers managing your content and resources. These are all step-by-step articles on how to do all of this. So if you forgot how to, make a category, you've got step-by-step instructions on how to do that. So as you're playing with the portal, this is a really great resource to have. And then tips and tricks, of course. Down here, you'll see professional services options. And we always recommend to have someone come on site to do professional workshops with you guys. So you have information about that down here. And then information about accessories and charging cards as well. So that's really it from me. Hopefully that gives you a starting point to go ahead and then just go play with your management portal, practice, uploading your files, getting those websites whitelisted. You've got access to the support page, so if you need any help there, that's a really good place to start. And then if you still need help, I'm always available at any time. So,
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And most importantly, how did your basketball team do?
It was football. We lost.
Oh, football.
Yeah, we lost our football game last week.
Oh, man, okay.
And
Well,
the team that beat us lost this past weekend, so, yeah. So they're out of it as well. So we made the final 8 in the state, so that's not too bad.
that's better than my teams ever did, so I'm very impressed with that.
We're young still too, so we'll be back. Wait till next year, we can say that. So, thank you
All
very
right,
much, Miss Morrow.
sounds good. You're very welcome. Let me know if you guys need anything.
All right, thank you.
All right.